PMUN TV. Today we are in conversation with Mr. Prateek Mahajan, a practicing advocate at the Punjab and Haryana High Court. He will be addressing the agenda for PMUN 17 AIPPM, which is setting minimum benchmarks for parliamentarians.
Hello everyone, my name is Prateek Mahajan. I am a practicing advocate, and being an alumnus of UILS, it is a very proud moment for me to announce that UILS is going to organize the second edition of the Punjab Model United Nations 2017 on the 22nd and 23rd of April 2017. Now I have been asked to speak on the agenda of the committee for the All India Political Party meet, that is setting up some minimum benchmarks for the parliamentarians in our country. This agenda broadly to my mind involves two important issues. Firstly, whether there should be some minimum educational qualifications for the parliamentarians of our country, and secondly, whether persons with criminal antecedents should be allowed to contest the elections. Now coming to the first issue, now this is a question which has been bothering the intelligentsia of our country from a long time, that in a country where even if you have to apply for a Group D post such as clerk or PMUN, the minimum educational qualification is matriculation. But at the same time, if you have to apply for the most coveted constitutional posts of our country, that is members of parliament and state legislatures, then no minimum qualification is required. The answer to this question can perhaps be traced back to the times when a constitution was being framed by the members of the Constituent Assembly. Even at that time, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the President of the Constituent Assembly and the first President of independent India, had advocated that there should be some minimum educational qualifications for the MPs and MLAs. However, his view did not find favour with the majority of the members of the Constituent Assembly for the very simple reason that the literacy rate in our country at that time was at a poor 12%. So it would have been completely absurd that 88% of the population of our country would have been kept outside the purview of contesting the elections. However, if we keep the same benchmark of literacy rate in today's times, now after 70 years of independence, our country is having a much better literacy rate of 75%. So perhaps the time has come for our MPs and MLAs to amend the law and prescribe certain minimum qualifications for their appointment. Some of the states in our country have already in fact taken a lead in this regard, and if I may cite one example, the state of Haryana in 2015 made certain amendments to the Haryana Panchayati Raj Act, whereby it was prescribed that only men who have passed class 10th and women who have passed class 8th will be allowed to contest the elections for the panchayats. This amendment was even challenged before our Honorable Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court went on to hold that it is education and education alone which gives us the ability to distinguish between right and wrong, and therefore it is only imperative that some basic education is prescribed so that the persons can discharge their duties effectively. I think the same ratio should apply to the case of MPs and MLAs as well, and if some basic education or some basic educational criteria is provided for election to MPs and MLAs, then these persons will be able to better understand their role as constitutional functionaries and also able to ensure that there is better administration in our country. Now coming to the second limb of this issue, that is whether persons with criminal antecedents should be allowed to contest the elections. Our Honorable Supreme Court, while dealing with a batch of petitions relating to removal of candidates with criminal antecedents, made very beautiful observations last year. The court said that just like a prudent master would not like to leave the keys of his chest with a servant whose integrity is doubted, in the same way our democracy cannot be allowed to give the executive power of the state to persons who are in conflict with law. While making these observations, however, the Supreme Court refrained from issuing any guidelines and in fact said it is for the Parliament to make necessary amendments in the law. While these observations may sound very pleasant to the ears, at the same time I would like to add a caveat here that many of the cases in our country are sometimes politically motivated, and it is not very difficult for the high and mighty to get an FIR registered or the criminal cases initiated at the hands, even if there may not be a genuine case against the person. So both these aspects need to be kept in mind while we are debating this issue, and with this brief little background, I'd like to take your leave. I wish you guys all the very best. I hope all of you have healthy discussions and deliberations, and are able to find effective solutions to these questions. I hope more and more of you come here and participate and make this event a success.